Think it's time we rise up, people. It's time's up, people. You can talk all you want, but it won't change a thing. I wanna know what you do. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Up and Up. I am really excited today to have a fellow activist, Edie Arndell. She is here to talk about the March for Medicare for All. Really exciting stuff. Welcome to the show, Edie.
Thank you. Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, we really want to focus on the March, right? Because this is going to be amazing, and we want to build up as much momentum as possible, and really just get the word out there as much as possible. Kind of cool. I just saw Marianne Williamson put out a little promo for it. I'm like,
Video,
yes, let's do this. All right. But let's just back up a little bit and talk about you a little bit. You know, this show is about activists. That's my whole purpose. So tell me, how did you get involved in this whole thing? I mean, you're essentially at this point one of the main organizers. So
yeah,
what's the story there?
I help out where I can. There's really not much of a hierarchy. It's just whoever shows up. I was one of the first invited. I was invited by Sharif Snuggs from New York. We met through People Party Slack, the Movement for People's Party Slack. And he was going to AOC's door, and I'm like, dude, I just love this. I'm like, can I come? But I can't fly to New York. So he's like, well, Bernie lost. So what are we going to do now? I'm like, right. And me, him, and another person from San Diego just got together and started talking. And then it was 5 people. Sharif brought on his friend Ricky. I brought on another friend from San Diego, Dan. So it's just 5. It's Dan, Tony, Sharif, Ricky, and me. We're like, let's march in DC. And I'm like, I love that. And then I'm like, but I can't fly to DC. Yeah. I won't have that kind of time off. What if we kind of model it a little bit like the Women's March did and just have it everywhere?
Yeah.
So then it became LA, Seattle, and it's just grown exponentially. It's so amazing that it just started with a small conversation. Like, I've had it. They're not doing what we want them to do. What can we do about it?
Yep. Get in the streets. That's what we can do. I love it. And I mean, I'm going to be honest, like I need like my, what is it? Like, I need my action fix. You know what I mean? Like, I've been stuck inside and all this stuff. I'm like, yes, no, bring me to DC. I need to go. Yes.
It does feel really good. That's one thing that I've stressed to people. You sit at home, you watch YouTube or wherever you get your news. Hopefully it's YouTube because it's better. I mean, as far as like content,
hey,
not necessarily them, but it's got better access to more voices.
Yeah.
Independent news, and you sit there and you fume and you steam and you want to yell at your TV. But if you actually volunteer and you get active and you get in the street and you do something, you do feel better. It isn't easy. It's a lot of work, but showing up and making your voice heard does relieve some of that anger. So
absolutely. Yeah. I think when I first, started getting into, like really getting into politics and really getting into activism and things like that, I was just really pissed off about everything. And I'm like, you know what? I can't sit around and bitch. If I'm not doing anything about it, then I don't have a right to sit around and talk about it. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't complain unless you're doing something about it. I mean, you can. Lots of people do, but still, like for myself, nah, it's got to come with the action. So
totally agree.
Right. So why Medicare for All? Specifically for you? Like, why is that something that you're super passionate about?
I just see it impacting everyone. All the way from how you just discussed earlier, you're involved with homeless issues. I live in San Diego. My job, I go to the beach. There's tons of homeless. I know these people. I've become friends with many of them. And I'm just thinking, what would healthcare do for them? Like as first step, I know that's not the solution, just first step. Right. And then suicide risk, depression, PTSD for veterans. I have family members. My son has suicide risk issues. It's very, very personal. I'm dealing with it with my father right now. My dad fell and broke his hip 2 weeks after he retired.
Oh God.
And the surgery went fine. The hospital was great. The Medicare took care of everything. But as soon as he goes to rehab, the private plan that he had in place called Medicare Advantage, which has nothing to do with Medicare, it's private,
Right.
it's through Aetna. It's a misnomer. They
Yeah.
said that they are going to only pay for 21 days. He's 76 years old. He just had two hip surgeries. Like, he's going to be better in 21 days. I would challenge a 21-year-old person to be better in that time.
Seriously.
But after that, they charge $184 a day.
Oh my
My dad just retired with just like a tiny bit of savings for emergencies.
God. Right.
So thank goodness for him that it was on private property. He's got a lawyer to try to get his medical bills paid. But they let him rack up a $5,000 bill. He was still not well. He was only at 85% weight bearing with a walker.
Yeah.
And they said, you got to go home. So needless to say, it didn't go well. He lives by himself. I'm going to have to fly back there and help. I'm trying to work it out with my job right now. That's why I'm home today. I can do this. But, his knee got swollen. They had to rush him to the emergency room again. He was back in there for 5 days at a time. And he's back home again, even though they don't know what's wrong. They don't know what's wrong. So it's almost like a 3-tiered system. If you have the money, you can get the absolute best care. So that is true. But more and more, the middle class is finding out that the insurance they thought they had that was good does not work for them when they need it. Yeah. And then obviously, if you're on public assistance, you get barely adequate care. So
it's really crazy too. I mean, I think that's one thing that I am seeing is that, people would fight back and say, well, no, I want to keep my insurance, I have insurance and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, wait until you use it. Like, try to use it. Then you'll realize, how,
right.
how good that actually is.
Well, and people they misconstrue I have insurance as I have care.
Right.
Because insurance companies can and do all the time tell you no.
Mm-hmm.
They can delay until, you may not survive it.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they just automatically, like, by default, like, deny claims. And then it's like, you know what I mean? Like, so no matter what, like, you have to fight for it, or some percentage. It's like, what do they say about, people making cold calls, right? So if you're just calling people up randomly and asking things, well, you could call 100 people and maybe 2 of them are actually going to, whatever, want what you're selling or whatever it is. It's kind of the same idea with claims as far as I'm concerned, is they just deny. And if those 2 people out of 100, are just like, oh, well, I don't have the time or blah, 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 then you still, you know what I mean? They're still profiting from that because it's still,
yeah. They make it complex on purpose.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I kind of see it as, do you want to have your healthcare retail or wholesale? You know what I mean? Like, you're paying the retail price. Do you really want to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And there are no guarantees. I mean, the plan I'm on now, like, I chose the cheapest one to try to save money. And, if I go to the doctor, I got to pay full price for probably all year. So I'm paying them for nothing, basically. They're not doing anything. So, yeah, I mean, it is very personal. And another thing, I know I may not look it, but I'm 55.
Don't look it.
Bless you, bless your little heart. So I'm thinking retirement, even if I can financially figure it out at possibly, I think 59 and a half, you can get your retirement without paying the huge extra 10% penalty. What do I do about healthcare? What do I do? At that age, you're starting to, like, maybe need it more. Like, right now I'm completely healthy, but I don't take anything. I don't need anything, but except for maybe stress management.
Right. I know. Right.
Yeah, definitely having those issues. But yeah, I mean, what do people do? The Cobra thing is ridiculous. So
right. I'm curious. Like, I think I probably have a decent understanding of it, or whatever. But I'm not sure everybody does. So I would like to talk a little bit about this kind of Advantage, Medicare Advantage, and stuff like that, because I wonder if people really fully understand what it is. You know what I mean? So can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, I know that you're kind of going through this with your dad, so you might have a little more
I,
um,
yeah, I wish I could
insight.
explain it better. Um,
Well, it's
I
a mess. It's
It
complicated
is
on
a mess.
purpose, guys, but
Yeah. All I know is when he switched from being at the hospital where he had a surgery, which the care was fantastic, when they put him in the rehab center to do therapy and heal, the coverage his coverage switched from regular Medicare. There must have been some kind of provision in his policy. He thought he was getting supplemental. I know he did, because I'm the person that had to tell him, Dad, it's in charge now. Sorry, it's not supplemental, it's taking over. There must have been a clause in there that when you're in rehab, it switches to Medicare Advantage as your primary care. And I got this straight from their billing. Well, he can't use his Medicare. It has to be this. And it's private insurance. It's through Aetna. So I don't think people understand when they sign up for it. They think, oh, I'm extra covered.
right.
No, they're just going to take your money and control things once it gets to a place that they have the leverage to do so.
Yeah.
And that's the best explanation I can come up with. I
Yeah.
really don't understand it. I don't think it's fair. I have not seen the policy, the contract. They keep mailing him stuff. He's 76. He's not techie at all. Like, he doesn't understand. And I really feel like they take advantage of older people when they do that.
Yeah. That's
You
what I
know,
was going to say, because the
you go
people
online
who
and look it
you're
up if you're not computer savvy.
right. And the people, and that was a change. I wish I could remember exactly what it was. I want to say that this happened in like say it happened in like the 80s or something like that, where it switched over, where it used to just be Medicare. And then, of course, through this a series of you know uh, legislation, made it so that this was the supplemental thing. And so when we talk about Medicare for All, that's one of the things, especially that I've heard Bernie, of course, I've heard Bernie talk about it, but things like that, where they're talking about it would cover. So when they say that it would improve actual Medicare itself, it would be even better than Medicare. That's because you wouldn't have any need for any supplemental, what, why am I blanking on what it's called now? Those kind of things.
Supplemental plan or whatever. And improved would include, hearing and dental and vision, as Bernie said a million times,
Mhm.
mental health, in-home care, home health. I never understood why they had to divide your teeth and your ears and your eyes from your body. It is part of you. Like, why is that just not rolled in? And a lot of people, because I am active too. I go out and do tabling for things, and I'll have like my MPP thing in one hand and my March thing in the other hand, saying, "Hey, check this out!" And hey, if you're not busy on July 24th,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, I'm not that old yet," or I have insurance, or oh, Medicare doesn't. It's just okay. It's like, that's kind of what we're talking about, though. We're
Yeah.
trying to make it comprehensive, improved, make it actually work the way it does in most other civilized, first world countries, that they got it down. The government just takes care of their people, and our government does not.
Yeah.
So
I mean, even thinking about like the Medicare Advantage and stuff like that, it reminds me of in Massachusetts when I was on, they call it Mass Health, which is, the low income, the whatever. And I was on that, but with that, then you end up choosing a plan that's actually through something called Commonwealth Care. And then of that, then you choose a plan that's through a private insurance company. And so, like, I remember one time I had a bad fall. I was on vacation, whatever, and had to go to the emergency room on vacation, all this stuff. And they ended up canceling my insurance. Now, they did this every year. every single year. They canceled my insurance for one thing or another. This particular time, I had called and spent 3 hours on the phone. I know because I went to a specific place where there was reception and I didn't want the call to drop or any of that, and like sat there for 3 hours asking for supervisor. So they said, "Oh no, there's nothing on here. You're fine. I don't know why you would have. That was just a typo." And then they ended up canceling it. You want to know why? This is great. This is just
Bye.
absolutely fucking beautiful, excuse my language, but because they were looking for an absentee parent form. The only reason I was on Mass Health in the first place is because my kid's father had passed away 6 years before that, yet now all of a sudden, oh, we need this absentee father form to verify that there's no dad who could be paying for it. Anyway, at the end of the day, they canceled it. And to make a long story short, I go through this whole process and it never frigging got paid. I never got reimbursed for any of the expenses that I had to incur because you want to know what happened? When I went to Mass Health, they sent me to Commonwealth Care. And when I went to Commonwealth Care, they sent me to Mass Health. And so they just like put this little talk about making it complicated for no reason. That's exactly why they do that. That's exactly why they kick you off every year. That's exactly why. Like these things are not an accident. When something happens every single time, you know what I mean? It's not an accident. It's
Yeah,
there's a
it's
reason.
definitely not. It is on purpose to keep us bouncing around, and so we'll give up, and then we'll just pay them, and we'll get nothing.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
I do want to clarify a little bit. Like, I know one of the issues some of our conservative friends have is like, I don't want the government to take care of me.
Hmm.
Got that, but we also pay in, right? And we deserve something in return. We're just asking them to pay the bill. We're asking them to use their power. Just pay the bill. We
Mhm.
don't want your, you know, like total control. We're not asking for that. We're just saying, can't you just cover everyone? And then there's also a little, like, I don't even know what you call it. I don't think it's really a debate, just a discussion in the Medicare for All area, how the federal government through, because they issue their own currency through MMT, the MMT theory, they could just do it
Speaking my
tomorrow.
language.
Yeah, they could just do
Go
it
ahead.
tomorrow. I'm learning about it. I'm trying to find time to read the Stephanie Kelton's book, and
Oh,
Eric sent it to me. He's like, here. I'm like, okay. So I think I understand, but I'd love to learn more.
hmm.
Doesn't mean we shouldn't push in the states, because just getting it would be good. If it's good for somebody in California or somebody in Washington state, or somebody in New York, there's state pushes going on. And I know that has its limitations because states have to balance their budget.
Hmm.
Federal government does not. They make their own currency. They always find the money to go to war, to do
Hmm.
tax cuts, to do all the things, raise the Pentagon budget, to do all these things. But when it comes to us, they're like, oh, I don't know.
Right.
My pockets are empty. It's like, no, they're not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's another way to look at it. Like, yes, getting in the States will help people, but it is not the full solution. All of that is I think it is geared, because I've talked to these people, is geared to push the federal narrative.
Hmm. I mean, and yeah, I definitely understand, the idea of like building up pressure. Like in my city, we just, well, we still have to go to the full council now. It's just passed committee, but for a resolution for Medicare for all. So it's like, okay, we're building up this pressure, building awareness, and then at the end of the day, you can look at it and you can say, all of these cities, this many cities and this many do, whatever it is, resolve to do that. I think it's a little more tricky, and to actually implement a state-based Medicare for all. I mean, I'm all for it if you can. I think it's a lot more tricky, not only because of the funding. Now, didn't California just recently do this? Like, didn't they
There,
actually pass it and then it was struck down?
I don't think it ever got passed. I am not an expert on the CalCare. I went to their car rallies. They do. We got to honk through town. It was fun. Little
Uh-huh.
flags on our cars, like. So I think it was just kind of put on the back burner because they wanted to look at the funding. There's a lot more people that know more about it than me, but I'm in favor of CalCare, and we do have one of the organizers from Healthcare for All Los Angeles, Betty, that that's her thing. So she's
Hmm.
going to be in LA. I mean, I'm going to be in the LA March. I can't come to DC. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, that she knows a lot about it. And so it's just been put on the back burner. That's what keeps happening. But there's a lot of pressure on our governor because he's up for recall. A lot of people
Oh
aren't happy with
yeah.
him on the right and the left, or just pretty much across the board for different reasons.
Right.
For me personally, still handing out permits to oil and gas is like, dude, that's not what you said. He
Yeah.
was for passing universal health care for California until it comes down to it. I mean, we are a super majority Democratic state. Why aren't things getting done?
Yeah, and also, I mean, even when you talk about the funding, I would think California would be the most likely. They say California is, I think it's the fifth largest economy in the world, you know? So, I mean, if you're talking about funding and that being something, obviously on the state that needs to be balanced and things like that. So, if you're talking about that, I would think California would be, the most likely. And they're still, like I said, I'm all for however it works,
But
I'm all
whatever
for it.
pushes the momentum forward, I'm for it. I do know that they didn't put the funding piece in there, so I think that's just I don't know what the reasons are, but that was what stopped it.
Hmm.
Because I mean, that was a decision on their part. But these people are so wonderful; they're so dedicated, and we've got a group here in San Diego that's doing the same thing as in your city, San Diego Single Payer Initiative. They're trying to get our city council to pass, like approval, endorsement, whatever they're calling it, to support Medicare for All.
Yeah, there was a group, Medicare for All Resolutions, that was doing. I think that's the full name, but they were trying to encourage people to do. And then they also have kind of like all of the tools, you know what I mean, that you would need in order to do that, which is really cool. I mean, you just kind of so then it's all set up for you, whatever city you live in, you're good to
Right.
go. And
So, some of those people have joined us too. So I did my personal outreach to the people in San Diego, like who is dealing with healthcare stuff, and I just reached out to everybody I could, and they've joined the San Diego March, and then my buddy Joni in LA has been doing the same thing in LA. It's just so needed, and it feels like the right time.
yeah.
What is it they say? I can't remember who the quote's from. Nothing is more powerful than a idea whose time has come.
Ooh, why do I not know that one? I love it though.
I
That's a
wish I
good
could
one.
remember who. Not
I
me.
wonder too, National Nurses United, like a lot of times that, when I've been working on this or at rallies and things like that, they've been like super involved. And you got to figure like those are the people who know, like they're in the room, like not only for their own situations, but for everyone else's situations. We come and see them. And so they have to so they understand the hoops that people have to jump through and the care that people don't necessarily get, you know what I mean, if they needed to. I think there was one nurse that I was it's kind of funny actually to say because we were smoking buddies outside of I
Don't
think
judge
it was
your
a,
girl.
a healthcare cohort thing, and they were in town. It was in DC, and so they were in town. Oh, People's Wave, and they were in town for lobbying and all that kind of stuff, whatever. um and we're talking about it afterwards, and she was like, I can't. The one thing at least that really stuck out in my mind that like I think as a nurse it must be heartbreaking to see is she's like, I can't tell you how many people come in here and uh and it's like if they had had this thing checked out, like if they had been able to go, like not only preventative care, which is huge, but also like just feeling like you can go to the doctor as soon as you are like something's not right, you know what I mean? And so we were just talking about how dental and vision has been somehow disconnected from your body, the issues that you have with your teeth can cause so many other issues if left untreated. I mean, it's this, it's really a more eh, you know it's it's so bizarre to see healthcare like decisions made based on profit or based on finances when it flies in the face of actual health information. You know what I mean? Like
It
when
flies in the face of care.
right, yes.
I've done a little bit of work with National Nurses United. I was invited to speak to my representative's staffer
Hmm.
here in San Diego. He wanted people to come and tell their stories of why,
Yeah.
I wish I'm so bad at names right now. I'm so tired. So my congressperson, she does support Medicare for All on the national level, but I don't know if she's a co-sponsor or not. But we were trying to get them to push it forward.
Mm.
And, people's stories are just heartbreaking. I told them the story about my dad, and then I started in about my son, and I kind of lost a little. And then I was really pushing hard. I have not been invited back. I might have went a little too hard. I apologize after. I'm like, if there's space in the conversation, I'm probably going to take it because I have a lot to say about the subject.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're trying to do the inside strategy and push Congress people individually to sign on. But until they vote, are they really signed on?
Right.
Yeah, you can put your name down, but it can be taken back when it matters.
Yeah.
That's how I see it, and I think that's how a lot of people at the march see it. We're still in discussions about what our actual demands will be. I don't think it's been finalized, but a couple of things that have been mentioned is there's a provision in the Social Security Act, 1881A, that Joe Biden could declare a state of emergency and get it for everyone, healthcare like this with a stroke of a pen. That's to me, this is what I would like to see. It's not official yet, but that's the first ask to just get it done and then ratify it through Congress and make it the law of the land. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we're under no illusions that it's going to happen immediately, but we're going to be out there to put more pressure until they just can't say no. Yeah. We do have some after plans kind of in the background, possibly. I don't think this is going to end on July 24th. We're going to see how the march goes, and a lot of people just want to continue until we have it. Yeah. And I'm one of those.
Absolutely. I'm with it. Tell me what I can do because I'm with it.
I think you're doing it right now.
I think it ends when we actually have Medicare for all. Like, that's what I think. I love the well, if being emotionally telling a story or something like that in a meeting with a congressperson's staff is a turnoff, then nobody's going to want to talk to me again because that's what I do. But I think it's so important because, we have this conversation. I mean, this is something that it's just been going on in my mind in so many different ways especially over the last couple of months, is this idea of kind of talking about the government as if it's a separate entity that is only supposed to do certain things, and it's like, well, actually, no, like the government is a collective. It's supposed to be us. We are supposed to be the government is supposed to be us. That's why it's supposed to be people that we elect from our society and all that kind of stuff. And to maintain, I mean, what is essentially the social contract, right? It's about providing security. I wish I could remember what it is, that Hobbes quote where he says, life in the state of nature is something miserable and brutish or something like that or whatever. But yeah, that's essentially what it is saying, like, okay, in a state of nature, it's everybody fight for themselves. Well, when we come together as a society, we make sure that everyone is secure. And if maintaining people's health and giving people access to healthcare isn't part of that, then I don't know what is. Like that, you know what I mean? It's interesting.
Yeah. I do remember where that quote came from. I believe it's Thomas Hobbes.
Yeah, it's Hobbes.
The Hobbesian worldview. But I think they were going through a really tough time at that time. So of course he's going to see it that way. I don't know how many centuries ago that was, but then there's also the John Locke, which is the counter to that. Can't quote it, but it's more of a enlightened way to look at it, like cooperation, society, giving people agency, and like that is how things could be better. It doesn't have to be, brutish, cruel and short, or whatever the actual quote is.
Yeah. Well, I think that was kind of I think that was kind of like the progression of the social contract, right?
Think about the taxes for business. It'd be good for business. I mean, there is the aspect of, your benefits hold you in your job. But there's also the aspect of smaller businesses can't afford to give their employees anything. And that would be such a weight off their shoulders. It would start to level the playing field just a little, which needs to happen. you
Yeah,
know. Um,
absolutely.
so March for Medicare for All, July 24th, mformforall.org.
Yeah.
Come and join us. You can start your own thing in your city if you like. It's easy. The website has a place to upload videos. There's, I'm sure this video will end up on there as well. Um, we're working out like how we're going to do all our endorsements and stuff. So there's so many people that want to sign on to this. It's just amazing.
This is amazing. Like just going through the list so far. Let me see. Albuquerque, Arvada, Colorado, Asheville. I'm assuming that's North Carolina. I fucking love Asheville. Anyway, Atlanta, Bemidji, Minnesota, Boston, whoop whoop, Chicago, Columbus. I'm only on the C's, guys. This is what I'm talking about. I'm not going to go through the whole list because what are there like 30 did you say it was 30 states or 30 cities?
30 cities, I believe. Like I was super surprised too, because I think it goes to our link tree, which is what you're reading off of 1st, and then it needs a little process to get onto the website, you know. We're doing our events through Mobilize. So once you go to the website, you can put your event right on Mobilize. It might take a little bit to get it actually on the website. It's kind of a little separate system that we've got, but you know, sign up and do it. You don't have to do a big thing. You could do just like a little rally. You know, you could do a little car caravan. It doesn't have to be this big, super big production, you know.
Awesome.
Although I think DC and LA and Seattle is going to be pretty amazing.
Yeah. I'm excited. I can't wait. So listen, get on it. Everybody, get on it because we really want to make a big showing and you know, people all across the country, all across the and all these even little cities and all this stuff. Yes, absolutely. Tell your neighbors and show your elected officials. Thank you so much for coming on, Edie, and thank you for everything you do. I mean, this is amazing. I'm floored.
100% my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. And if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. All right. Bye, y'all.